Welcome to season 2. We are revamping and we are also renaming. We are no longer the Brandi Jo Show. We are Against the Grain. Of course, a golf reference. This season on Against the Grain, you're going to find some entrepreneurs that really your business just can't live without, especially if you're the growing segment of influencers and experts where you're wanting to sell your expertise online and on courses. For the first episode, I have Kathleen Celmins, the well-paid expert. She's going to take us through the steps of how to gain not only clarity in what it is that you want to do with your business, but also a clear vision on who it is that you want to serve. So, without further ado, here's the first episode of season 2.
There's no piggy bank. There's no tree. You've actually say something.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yep. I try. I've always been a nonconformist though. I never fit into the financial planning, advising, stuff shirt, stick your nose in the air.
That's awesome. There is one link that's broken at the top. You have a get to know Brandi Jo that doesn't go anywhere.
Okay, good. Good to know.
I always want to know that stuff, so I always tell people that stuff.
Yeah. So the well-paid expert. I get paid very well for being an expert in my field, but what you're talking about is putting your expertise online and selling it.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yes.
So, and I went all through your website. I watched your video. Do you help people take their expertise, like extract it out of their brain and put it down on paper and put it all in there? What about the
I want everybody to be like you. Not everybody can confidently say, I know my stuff and I make a good living from knowing my stuff.
Yeah. True. Yeah. It's funny you say that because I spent 5 years building a team, and then I ran the team for about 3 years. And then I stepped away. I actually sold the marketing. So there was a business unit that was a marketing platform within my firm. And I was attached to a general agency and a broker dealer. So it was all me. I mean, I was the face, but I was marketing everybody else. And when just the simple, intro to a luncheon or intro to a networking event that we were hosting, or a happy hour or something like that, maybe 10, 15 people, staring at you. And I'd ask these guys, and I had one gal, all the rest were guys. I'd ask these guys to, just step up, bring everybody's attention and, do the rah-rah and, talk about themselves and, pitch the deal. They couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they literally clammed up. And I'm kind of wondering, I actually had an interview last week with, someone that, it was nice to not be a podcast host. I was getting the questions asked to me. And what I've read is that there's 5% of the people in the world that are true creatives that can actually monetize what they're creating, whether that's art or information or whatever it is. And, it has to be compelling and all that, but it also has to be real world and fit into, someone's interest or someone's issue. It should be trying to fix a problem or just entertain them. And what I have found is that there are so many people on this planet that know so much, but they're not sharing it. And I think that's wrong. I think it's morally and ethically wrong. And they're like,
I do too.
Oh my God, Brandi Jo, you're just so, you're so over the top with this stuff. And it's like, but you can get into talent and gifts and God and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, why are you not sharing what you know with the world? Because it could help and change someone's life.
Mm-hmm.
And
people are like, well, you shouldn't sell that. You should just, put it out there for free on the internet. So when you're approached by someone that says, okay, I want to put my stuff on the internet and I want to get paid, what's the first step that you take with them? Is it behavioral? Is it conceptual? Is it technical?
Usually when people come to me, they come to me with an idea. Okay.
Right.
I think I want to, I'm a freelancer. And freelancers get the need for leverage better than a lot of other people, because it only takes like 2 days of being sick to realize like you made less money this week because you were sick. Or you try to go on vacation and you've got deadlines. And so you're on vacation using hotel Wi-Fi and not actually being on vacation. So usually people come to me with an idea. I'd like to XYZ. So I have an example from your industry, actually. Somebody came to me and said, I want to build lead magnets for financial advisors. I said, okay, great. They don't know what that is. The financial advising industry just stopped sending faxes like 2 years ago. So let's not teach digital marketing to financial advisors. It's going to be an uphill battle. We're going to have to do way too much educational content to get them to the problem aware phase that's necessary in getting somebody to buy from you. So we iterated a lot on that, and it happens in a group program. So we iterated a lot. She went back and thought about, well, maybe I'll do something else. And we were talking maybe LinkedIn prompts. So here's a month of LinkedIn prompts, and you could get advisors to subscribe to that and, tweak them and make what they want if they want. So that didn't resonate with this person. But what did resonate was writing. So she's a freelance writer who writes for advisors, and
I'm gonna need her number.
Yeah, I will. Because she came up with this idea where she's sending, instead of writing bespoke blog content, she's creating newsletters. So the market is the market, whether you're in San Antonio or Phoenix. Mm-hmm. So she has a templated newsletter that she tells her clients is templated, and the advisors can swap out a couple of different blocks, and then the logo or the local news or upcoming events or whatever. So you've got the market news in the middle, and it's all the same. And all of a sudden, she's got a leveraged income stream. Mm-hmm. Whereas instead of creating something once and being paid for it once, she's making something once and I think getting paid for it 8 times now. And a lot of times when we think about like leveraged income streams or productizing your knowledge or whatever, we think about online courses. And then you immediately think, oh, do I need to use Teachable or Kajabi? Have you heard about Kartra? And you go down this whole rabbit hole, learning things you don't need to know. When really the trick is, and I don't have to tell you this, but the trick is that the best kind of money, best kind of work is work you can get paid for more than once and do just one time. Right. So it doesn't have to be this whole big thing. And that's what we do in my mastermind, is that we talk about, one of the things that I hammer home on consistently is, if it's easy to create, it's easy to consume. And we think if we're going to charge somebody something, it has to be complicated. Whereas it absolutely doesn't have to be complicated. Right. If you can create something that somebody can then take and make their own and have any amount of check mark off their to-do list in a shorter period of time, then it's absolutely worth doing.
Yes. Do you find that some of these people have the perfectionist syndrome? Like they just want it to be, they don't want to launch it until it's absolutely perfect. And then or
they think that they're, experts are funny because when they get close to mastery, something funny happens in their brains and they think that everybody else knows this. So again, using an example from your industry, I worked with somebody who only followed other advisors on social media. And when you do that, you end up trying to make the most complicated content because you want to show your other advisor friends that you too have all these certifications and you pass these tests and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, I just don't know why this content's not working. And I was like, well, I do. It's not in English.
Right.
You know, you're not speaking to the right audience. And we get like that when we think, well, gosh, everybody knows that, you need to have, you need to invest for retirement. Well, no, that's actually not true. Anything that you think everybody knows is only because you've spent all of your professional life getting to the point where you're surrounding yourself with everybody that knows the same things you do.
Mhm.
And that's not who the people at large are.
Well, talk about that a little bit more, because that happens all the time. And what I think happens, I've been in this business for 27 years. I sat in on my first Monday morning call from the floor when I was 23 years old. And it was so jargon, convoluted, lingo. It was just so complex and everything. And then it's like, I was a bring him to the table girl. I was going to play golf, getting all of the numbers, cold calling, doing the whole thing, and then bringing to the table, and my VPs were managing the money. So I was not really talking about in-depth management of money. I was talking more about trust, legacy, security, safety, uncertainty, all that kind of stuff. And that was very easy to understand. But then when it came down to actually sitting down with a client and showing them what I call now money moves, it was so complicated back then. And we were trying to make it complicated because we could charge more, basically. So that's essentially what the financial services industry does. They make it so complicated and confusing. And this is why, and I'll say this is probably one of the reasons that only 25% of the total population have a financial advisor. And that's the sad part. And it's because most of the people, probably most of them are intimidated, don't think that they deserve one, or don't think that they have enough money to have one. And then the other side of that is, I can figure it out on my own because, I'm on Reddit and I watch YouTube.
Yeah. Everybody has access to Vanguard, right?
Exactly. And, and you mentioned the lead magnets. BlackRock is doing a pretty good job on flipping out this lead magnet. I think it's an 8-page PDF about the uncertainties that they believe are hitting the market at the end of this year. And if you're into conspiracy theories, kind of the way that I am, it's a hobby of mine. The prevailing controlling power in the world has to tell you, these are the rules of the universe, has to tell you what they're going to do before they do it. And they're telling you in this PDF what they're going to do. And that right there, I actually, the downloads and the views on this one ad, and then I think on a subsequent post is incredible. And it's because people are starving for information, because the market right now is just it's a complete disconnect. Like, people are hurting financially. Inflation is up, food costs are up, people have blown through their COVID savings, and they're not seeing the market tank like it should be tanking. And the biggest issue that people have is that they're so consumed with so much information, they don't know how to make a good decision or a prudent decision. So
I think too, when we decide not to decide, we think we're putting off a decision for later, when in reality, we are making a decision that is detrimental. So we're afraid, we don't know what to do, but we think that not doing something isn't itself an action. I think that's like a
Right.
big problem too.
You know, and I see that. So I have coaching clients as well. They're still clients, but it's different because I dig in. I actually manage their finances for their business and personal. It's not just what's in their retirement accounts or in their life insurance. I'm trying to get them to solid foundation of just financial literacy, and, you know, having bookkeeping, having a tax prep plan, going back and revisiting the taxes. And I have found that, you know, it takes a lot of trust. And hopefully I've proven myself in that department. But it's not about the money. It's about the act of walking through the fire and having the courage to deal with that, and the shame and the anxiety that these people have to relive. And, you know, I'm standing there holding their hand saying it's going to be okay. My saying is, once they get some momentum, you know, they start going back and they look at their bank statements. You know, we go back. What I like to do personally is 90 days of bank statements, 90 days of credit cards. And then I convert those PDFs into a spreadsheet, and then we put them into QuickBooks. And then for the next 90 days, all we do is track. We're not trying to save at this point. But then with their businesses, it needs to align personally, and they need to keep up with their quarterly filings as well. So in the state of Texas, if you're an LLC, there are quarterly filings, but you're not having to file a quarterly tax return. It's just a quarterly franchise filing. So, you know, we dig into all of that, and, you know, just looking at their spending, that's their shame. That's their mark of shame, according to them. And it's like, you know, I buy stupid shit too. You know, we are not a member of a country club, but we probably spend more at the daily fee course here in town because we play 3 or 4 times a week. And could that be going to, you know, some leveraged account that I could throw into another investment and then have a shorter working life? You know, all of that equals retirement. Sure. But then what about the experience? What about the fact that I'm passionate about golf and I'm actually good at it and I like to do it? The frivolous spending that people are so shameful about, that's their dopamine hit. And so that's when we get into behaviors, and we get into why they're building a business. What are they doing with their business? Is it just to make money, or is it actually to change the world? Those kinds of things. And it takes a lot of courage to go through that, and then to share it with somebody else that has it. I'm a fiduciary. I have a fiduciary responsibility. And it's a two-way street. Whatever I share with them, they can't share with anyone else. And many people don't understand that that's what a true financial advisor, coach, investment advisor, RIA, that's what these people's jobs are supposed to be. And I haven't found one yet in my circle of influence or my sphere of colleagues here in San Antonio, or even the state of Texas, that they actually take that on. That basically they're just saying, okay, we're going to save 20%. We're going to put, 10, 5, 5 over here, and you're going to be just fine. Instead of actually getting to the real cause of why are they not saving enough, and why don't they have the reserves? Why are they not in business? Why are they still in this W-2 environment? You know, they're paying the most taxes. And, you know, I think most people have something to share. Going back a little bit in our conversation, that most people have something to share. They're just so afraid that someone's either going to call them stupid or they're not going to be successful. So when people come to you with an idea, and you know, it's funny that you mentioned, I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought that you taught people how to build courses.
I mean, it can be. It sometimes is, right? Like it depends on what your experience is, what your idea is. And I have some brainstorming frameworks that we go through. So when somebody comes to me and they say, look, I don't have a single idea. I'm like, okay, based on what I know about you.
Okay. So they don't have a single idea, but they've contacted you.
It's the same sort of thing as you were talking about your team getting up there and forgetting their names when they have a microphone in front of them, right? Like they don't know what they know. They don't know what they don't know. They get flustered when they think about their expertise in a different way. And I have 3 different sort of brainstorming frameworks for them. If somebody doesn't have an idea, usually when someone commits to the mastermind, they come in with an idea. It's, you know, it's money that you have to spend money. But when we're just talking about it, they think about their expertise. And I ask them, in your line of work, when people ask you for something and you use the word just, what are some of the things that you do? What are some of the things where somebody's asking you this and you say, oh yeah, that'll just take a second, because it's actually 15 years in 1 second. Where are those pieces in your business? And that's a seed to plant for listen to when you're explaining something to a client. Listen to when a friend of yours sends you a DM on Twitter and you do something for them in 5 seconds that it would have taken them 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So usually you can't think of those on the spot, but the other 2 you can. And so the next one, I get a lot of resistance. People hit resistance on this, where I tell them to, especially creatives, to teach exactly your process, because it's similar to the celebrity chef who puts out a cookbook. You know, you're not selling the cookbook. The cookbook never makes reservations go down at your restaurant ever. So too, to the graphic designer who thinks, if I teach exactly my process for designing beautiful things on the internet, then no one will hire me.
Yeah.
That's not true. It's just not true.
Right. And you know what? You can use this example with golf on YouTube.
Right.
And it's just share what you know. And man, they'll watch it and you'll get paid.
Yes, that is true. I mean, it's the same sort of golf, or even like painting. I painted my bathroom myself. I'm not sure I'll ever do that again. But I watched a tutorial of someone who did it. He said, this should only take you 2 hours. I was like, man, if that guy was local, he would be in my house right now.
Yeah.
Because of course it should only take me 2 hours if I paint bathrooms for a living, but I don't. And so it took me, 3 weekends. And so teaching exactly your creative process, whether you're a writer or a golf instructor or a designer or anything, it'll open up a line of revenue that wasn't there before. So the golf is a great example. You will not hire someone who lives in Augusta. You don't live there. like
Right.
maybe you'll go there for a weekend, but that's not going to be a long-term commitment for you. So that person can teach something and package it up digitally and everybody can access it. It works for every vector of expertise. And then the other one is, depending on how long you've been in business, what could you tell yourself? What are the things you could teach yourself today that you could travel back in time to 5, 7, 8 years ago, that if you knew then what you know now, you would fast track your way to success?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and
It's a lot. I could fill a book with it, but
well, yeah, mine would just be one sheet of paper and it would probably have about 10 things on it. And it would literally start with the Dan Kennedy saying, he who spends the most amount to acquire a customer wins. And the more that you can get yourself, especially in the financial services industry, the more that you can get yourself in front of a camera, on a podcast, people sharing your stuff, and just in, these little micro lessons of personal finance. I mean, it would be over for some of these younger people that are joining the industry, but they're still doing the same thing. There's a Project 100. You call those 100 people, you make 100 appointments. 10 of those 100 are going to turn into a discovery call or a discovery session. And then one of those people are going to turn into a client. And that's the way that they're doing it. Instead of what you are teaching is packaging the service, because everybody needs the same products. And I'm not a big 401k or IRA person. I am a big Roth fan right now because taxes will be going up January 1st, 2026. And there are certain products that you need in order to make your financial life more efficient, which means to get you to a point of financial freedom. And I'm not even a big retirement person either, because I believe if you can keep working, you should keep working physically, mentally, all of that. So I like what you're saying, that it's not, and that you're trying to simplify it and not make it some, oh my God, you've got to get into this, you've got to have this certain thing and that certain thing. So tell us about the mastermind. How often do you meet? Where do you meet? Who's in there?
Yeah. So it's it's funny. I set it up as a 90-day program. And while it's true, you can build a sales funnel from an idea you don't yet have in 90 days. I didn't quite realize that people aren't going to spend as much time in that 90 days as I would want them to on it.
Yeah.
So I extended it out. It's a year-long program because there's a lot of like go at your own pace stuff. There's a lot of brainstorming. Then there's one-on-one calls. And then my favorite part is the group interaction. We do a group call every Wednesday and everybody comes in at different points. So we don't all start at the same time. I thought that was necessary at first, and it's definitely not. Because we're just going to ask different questions at different times. And we're trying to get to the point where we're all making money and getting to the point where we're building another sales funnel for another product if we want. And so when somebody joins, we do a one-on-one kickoff call and I build you a plan, roadmap, blueprint, whatever you want to call it, for your idea to sales funnel with all the tech and all the stuff that's included. And like I said, it can be done in 90 days, but that's like with a lot of ifs, like if nothing that happens in your personal life, if you don't get 6 clients coming to you with the same deadline, so it's really flexible. But my guarantee is that if you join and you put in the work and you've done everything in that 90 days to get your sales funnel set up and it's not yet working, I will give you $1,000 to put towards your ad spend of my money and work with you for free until it's making money. Because I believe that we're still at the beginning of making money on the internet. It feels like if you've been online for even a few minutes, it feels like we're at the end of it, and we're just not. We're still at the very, very beginning.
I think, yeah, I totally agree, because the mainstream people have not gotten into the business of making money online yet. They're in the advertising business of advertising on the internet, but they haven't gotten into the making money part of it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's
It's
only
an
going to make
exciting
it.
time.
I'm sorry.
It's an exciting time. I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you know the percentage of people that finish courses? I mean, even like the self-develop or personal development, like Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, what's the other guy? John Assaraf, Brendon Bouchard. What's the percentage of those people that actually finish a course?
Like 7.
Yeah.
It's really, and the truth is we don't need more information. And so when we're building these income streams, yeah, you can build an info, hands-off digital product, but you're going to make more of an impact if you get people together, if you have a live component. I worked with a client who has a 6-module digital course, sells for $1,000. We worked together, and now you can buy his course as a live course that you show up every Thursday at 2:00 or whatever for 6 weeks, and it's 6 times the price. And more people buy that than they buy the digital product. We want transformation. We want access to the expert. It's much, much more lucrative and better. You get your clients better results in a group environment. I got into it thinking like, yeah, I want to make more money from these one-on-one calls. If they're 3-on-1 or 5-on-1, then look, I've saved myself time. But the truth is, people coming together from different industries and different expertises and just different lenses will look at somebody else's beginning and say, have you thought about this? Have you considered that? And it just makes everybody's experience better.
Have you ever had to kick anybody out of your mastermind?
No.
Okay. That's my biggest issue when it comes to these live events. I was doing
the worst thing that happens is somebody will pay you full price and then never show up. And you think, well, okay. Yeah. I mean, it feels weird. As a coach, you want them to transform, but like, they're not going to if they don't show up.
Well, and that's their biggest issue, is because they just think writing a check somehow, some way, it's going to magically happen.
Mm-hmm. It's like why Diet Bet is so popular. Yeah. You know, if I've got $200 on it, then I'm definitely going to lose these 10 pounds that I haven't been able to lose for a decade.
Oh God, that's hilarious. So how does someone get started with you? And do you have, is the mastermind what's going on right now, or do you have other offerings as well?
A couple of different offers. I have an offer for getting better showing up leads from LinkedIn. And that's a 30-day program. It's usually for a different kind of person. If you are looking for leverage, you're not necessarily looking for more clients, but sometimes you need to raise your rates and get better clients before you have even a few minutes to yourself to build a digital product.
So, okay, let's talk about LinkedIn specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Is that mostly B2B?
Yeah, it's mostly B2B. Although I do see professional services on there, quite a bit. It's more about like, you know how everybody has a LinkedIn account, but hardly anybody is using LinkedIn in the right way. Like,
what's the right way?
Well, I mean, like, you never get you almost never get a pitch from somebody thinking, man, how did they know I needed offshore app development? You know,
True.
or dedicate. So I've gotten on where it feels like I'm in a time warp. I keep getting cold pitches about dedicated phone lines for my business. I don't need that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But because so many people are on LinkedIn, and because it's full of decision makers, and you can get past the gatekeeper and all that for B2B, doing like applying a real normal human first strategy on LinkedIn will explode your calendar in a way that Instagram, for example, just won't.
So I mean, you're talking about direct messaging on LinkedIn?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you put out polls on LinkedIn a lot?
Sometimes.
Those
People like to click those.
I know those get the most interaction, the most engagement. I was sitting around, I think it was Sunday afternoon. I was going through the views. So like posting something, like I posted a still image about income and diversifying your income, and got like, I don't know, 100 views. I put up a poll, and I did this, I think I did it in 3 phases. So it was a still image about diversifying your income, you know, dividends, ordinary income, capital gains, la, 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 la. And then I did a poll on, you know, what is the makeup of what's the majority of your income? And that got like 1,500 views. It got like over 100 votes. And then I did a video, my money minutes, and just talking about, just basically describing the still image. So I think that was over a 6-day period. The video got just a little bit more. I think it got 125 views, no comments, no likes. The still image, like 100 views, no comments, no likes. The poll got over 1,500 views, 100 votes, and like 10 comments. I want to understand what that is. I want to understand the psychology behind that.
It's like the opinions are like
assholes.
Yeah, I didn't know what level we're doing here, but yeah. Everybody wants to weigh in, right? Educational content only goes so far, but especially financial education, based on what we were talking about earlier with the shame around, I don't know, spending, buying something they couldn't afford, knowing full well they couldn't afford it.
No, buying something that they can afford that is not helping them become financially free, like blowing up. Like, I can look right out here and see something that brings me a hell of a lot of joy, and it's a bubble machine. And it was $29 off of Amazon. And I'm not shameful for buying that, but could I have used the $29 elsewhere? Maybe. But there are some people that don't have $29 to spend, period, but they're going to spend $29 on a bubble machine. So that's the difference in the shame.
Yeah. So how much follow-up did you do with the people that engaged on the poll?
So I think the poll was like capital gains was last. Ordinary income obviously was number one. And I think it was ordinary income, capital gains, Dividends was second. And I think a K1 passive income was fourth. And I think that got like 1% or something. So I specifically direct messaged everyone on that topic. And with all of the focus on taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And, I got a couple of appointments out of it. But that's the engagement. And, polls get engagement. And I want to understand the engagement to that. Maybe it's the tactile. Oh my God, I get to click on something kind of. I don't know.
You're stopping the scroll and asking for, even if it's not my opinion, you want to know, like, I'm going to weigh in,
Yeah.
And I think polls are really cool because
I vote on all of them.
Oh my gosh, I do too. Even when it's like, this doesn't have anything to do with me. No.
I just want
yes.
And I want to see what the results are. That's why I vote.
Mm-hmm. I did one. The last poll I did was, do you think that LinkedIn is a social media network, or like primarily, yes or no? And everybody said yes. And I just don't think it is. It's not like its primary goal is not to wish your coworker from 3 jobs ago happy birthday.
And stop sharing the animal videos.
Yeah. Or, and while we're at it,
go ahead.
We do not need any more stories about how you are the greatest parent in the world or how your kids are the most extraordinary humans alive.
Second. Or remember that guy that cried because he had to I was like, oh my God, anyone who likes this, I am disconnecting. And
I saw that 800 times.
Right. So what was I on? I paid like $100 for something like 15 years ago where you downloaded everybody's email and then you uploaded it to LinkedIn. I have 38,000 connections. No, I have 50 something thousand connections on LinkedIn. Something like that. It's like 30 or 50, something like that. And because it's just, exponential growth. And it's like, the elephants and then the cheetahs and then the monkeys. And I'm like, okay, like, I think it was about a year ago. I was like, anybody who shares, likes, or comments on stuff like this, I am removing the connection.
Probably not your target. Like they're not going to engage in your polls either.
God, I just, but LinkedIn is, you're going to have to share that LinkedIn thing with me because I'm not a big fan. The only reason that I go there is because of the polls. I mean,
I like it. I like it especially for, and you may not need it at your point in your career, but a lot of, I don't know how this happens, but the advisors that I talk to, the newer ones don't really realize that they got into a sales job. And so I know I don't like, I'm not sure how, like this isn't just about helping people who have already hired you. You have to go find people to hire you.
And who gets hired in the financial services arena unless you have, some sort of, I don't know, CFA or something like that. You're not paid a salary in the financial services industry.
Right. And so I think for those people, and they end up in either like smaller independents or bigger companies, and they have the only thing they've learned about marketing and outreach is that if they do one thing wrong, the SEC is going to come after them. And they're terrified. So they end up thinking like, okay, well, this is a sales job and I can't market. I have no idea what to do. And so the outreach approach works really well on LinkedIn because, you don't have to put much content up on your feed. You don't even have to say, lunch is going to be good. I guarantee it, because you can't do that. You
Right.
know, like, you can't guarantee anything. Right. So, I find that it helps when you want to get in front of people, you want to get more confident, you want to talk to I don't know, mid-level folks in tech in San Francisco, or whatever your search criteria is.
Yeah.
It helps get appointments on your calendar.
Mhm.
I don't guarantee anything beyond the appointment part, because I don't know what people's sales call process is
Right.
like. But it going from like hustling and working really hard for one appointment to getting 8, 10, 20 appointments a week
Mhm.
just feels good to someone starting out.
Yeah. Well, and